Namaste. When you think of the world in an outward way, how absolutely complex it is. It takes the digestion of your food to turn it into food that can be absorbed in the body, and that same food will go to create nails and hair and the eyes and the organs in the heart and the digestion and so on. There's some sort of a guiding hand, sort of a movie director, you might say, that handles even the energy that comes into your body. You'd think that in some way we've just become blobs of food, but we don't. Everything is unique, everything is itself. And so God, in one way, as I have said, is very simple. And yet what a complexity there is, too, in the whole show. Krishna says in the 17th century stanza, an admixture of the three gunas, the essential qualities, with the diverse karmas of individuals, produces the four castes. Though I am active in creation through these influences, know that I in myself am ever actionless and unchanging. And so out of that actionless state, somehow the complexity of a human body, of this planet with so many different life forms, so many insects, so many everything, it's extremely complex. And it's all really created, as Krishna says, and it would take quite a bit of meditation to understand this, that an admixture of the three gunas, those aspects of those qualities that take one away from God or bring you closer to Him. And I've used the illustration of a wave, with the lower part of the wave being closer to the ocean, representing Sattva Guna. And that movement, pushing out or pulling down, if Raja Guna, there's Sattva Raja and Tamo Raja, depending on which direction this activity is taking you. And that's the middle part of the wave, pushing up or sinking down. And then finally the crest or the trough, the Tamo Guna, which is at that rest point before it changes direction and comes down. Now, the admixture of that is to be found in some way in everything. Everything has its own part. You yourself have it. The greatest criminal is an admixture of these castes. And in fact, as I've said, a saint, may be born into a criminal home, because the criminal as well as the saint have a certain attachment or liking, preference for peace. So in all ways, every human being manifests all these. There is nobody who is wholly evil or wholly good, so long as he still has an ego. And in fact, I don't think, I of course have not done research on this point, but really I can't imagine anybody saying, I am evil. Always people have somehow this faith inside that they are basically good. I may have done bad things, they will say, but I am not that. There is this knowledge inside every person, even the worst murderer, even somebody like Joseph Stalin, who killed millions of people, and virtually with his own order to do it. And yet nobody is wholly evil. Everybody has some goodness in him. If he didn't, it would all become lopsided. There has to be this admixture. And so Krishna says, mixing those with the gunas. It's very interesting, mixing those with the gunas, mixing with the karmas of the individual, and producing the four castes. Now you've got the four castes of Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmin. But in each caste you could say that there are four castes. Those who are completely animal-bound are the lowest, the Shudras you could say. But then there are the Vaishya Shudras, people who somehow want to use their brain just to find good food for themselves and thinking only of themselves, but still they're a step above being a Shudra, Vaishya Shudras. Then there are Kshatriya Shudras. A Kshatriya Shudra is someone who, it's like that story of a woman that my guru told. A woman who never did a good deed in her life. She was always stealing and always begging and always taking. And when she died, she went to, of course, the wrong place. And she said, "I don't belong here." And she was very upset and angry. And they said, "Look, here's your book of life. Page after page of good deeds, absolutely blank. And your dark deeds are so full that they've written between the lines, written in the margin." And they said that there's no hope for you to think that you don't belong here. And he said, "Well, I must have done something good." So they examined further, and they found on one blank page a footnote, which said that she had stolen a carrot and bitten into it and found a worm there, so she gave that carrot to somebody else. And they said, "Well, it's not much of a good deed, but at least you did give that carrot away. So what we'll do is we'll materialize a magic carrot. And if you hang on to this carrot, it will raise you up to heaven." And this is, of course, an allegory, but it's true. Don't think of your bad deeds. If you've done even one deed, cling to it. Make that your raft over the ocean of delusion. And this woman was clinging to this carrot and finding herself rising up off the floor of hell. And then she felt a tug on her feet, and she looked down, and there was this long line of people all clinging to her feet, and somebody clinging to their person's feet, and so on, down, all of them rising just because of her one magic carrot. And so this woman said, "What are you doing? This is my carrot." And she kicked, and they all fell down, but she, in her kicking, let go of the carrot, and she also fell down. And this is, of course, just a silly story, but the truth of it is there too, that this woman, if she clung to that one good deed, it can raise you. That's why I never say that you are a sinner. There is goodness in you. And Krishna is showing how even a Shudra can have his good qualities and his bad qualities. But if you only think of yourself, you will lose it all again. So what we find is that the Kshatriya Shudra is somebody who will help other people, sort of like that woman in giving away a carrot, or help it because it suits their convenience. It's good for them if they also help other people, and they've come to understand that. And the Brahmin Shudra would be one who is trying a little bit to inspire other people, perhaps only to get them to do a better job for him, I don't know. But the thing is, it's just like the astrology system of the periods. What are they called? Somebody tell me. Dashas. You can cut that out. And so in the astrology of India, they talk of these dashas. And there's the main dasha, then there's the antardasha, then there's the antardasha. The main dasha is Saturn and Mars and Moon and Sun, etc. The antardasha is that within each of those dashas, there is a directional growth from in the same phase, same direction, but always the same repetition, but smaller. Then within those antardashas, and you can go smaller and smaller, so you can cut the day up into minutes and seconds. So it is with these caste systems and the way that the original gunas apply to them and help to make this show extremely complex. I have written a book called Out of the Labyrinth, and I've shown that people who believe that there are no merit, no values, no truths, no purpose in life or meaning, etc. I've shown the Indian teaching, which is very much more sophisticated, which shows that yes, they are relative, everything is relative, but it's relative in a directional way. So that you can become good, you can become better, you can become best. If you are in a particular delusion, you can become better than that, you can become worse than that. And so the world is very different from what science has been trying to tell us. And Krishna says it beautifully here. These gunas acting, see, the gunas are directional. And in the four varnas, the same thing is true. There's a student stage, and the grihastha stage, and the vanaprastha stage, and so on. But they too are directional. And you can cut through them as you can cut through any delusion if you decide that I will, for instance, a young man can become a Swami. And in that way, he can bypass the Grihastha and the Vanaprastha. But always it's in the same direction. And if you go in the wrong direction, you have to correct it and come back in the right direction again. This is the law. So we see that in all this complexity, there is a system, there is a reality in it. So I remember when I was taking my singing lessons, my teacher stopped me one day. She said, "That note, that's how they should all sound." All those 6 months I had been working to try to get my voice placed right. Finally she got it. I got it, and she could tell instantly. And I went to Mexico that summer, and I sang for the most well-known, best voice teacher, singing teacher in Mexico City. And the first thing she said was, "Never change your teacher." Well, it was very nice, but I didn't want to be a singer. I had no wish to sing the songs that I knew. I had no wish to be famous just because I have a beautiful voice. And when she told me finally, "I'm living for only one thing, and that's to see you become a great singer," I never went back. I knew what I wanted. I wanted truth. I didn't want to just warble, show off my ego. What's the use of that? So I never went back. The thing that we need to understand is that in everything there's a direction to it. And your voice, you can't see it, but as you try to imitate, or your guru, as you try to tune into his vibration, tune into his wisdom, bit by bit you find yourself becoming he. Really, in a sense, there is no difference between the disciple and the guru. Although both have different personalities, both are expressing the same God. And the guru's purpose is not to sit you down and teach you things. This is what many people don't understand. It isn't it isn't his teaching. Some great yogis, true gurus, are monis. They don't say anything. What the guru does is transfer his consciousness to yours. And what you need to do, and this is why Krishna says, when you have the intuitive understanding, you can understand this whole universe. But it needs that intuition. When you can tune in to the underlying truths of this universe, suddenly you understand. You don't have to put it together like a dictionary or encyclopedia. You just somehow know. This, as I said, is the goal of the guru. And if you're seeking enlightenment, don't go to those who will just give it to you as an intellectual exercise. Give it to those who have that quality and who, in their presence, you can feel yourself changed. In the presence of the guru, you suddenly find that it looks doable. That's the beautiful thing about the guru. You begin to think that, well, I can do that. His purpose is not to show you how great he is. His purpose is to show you how great you are potentially. And my guru always talked to us that way. He never condescended. Most teachers, when they teach, they talk down to people. He never did. He saw us as perfect beings. And the more he saw us that way, the more we ourselves began to think, well, gosh, maybe it's possible. And gradually begin to get faith in your own ability to know God. So, the guru, the intuition, and the understanding of how this complexity that seems so infinite, ultimately it's really only directional. A little of this, a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, whether it be the gunas, whether it be the varnas, the castes, whether it be the stages of life, whatever it is, all of it is directional. Even as I said, in astrology you have the dasha, antardasha, antardantardasha, antarantaran, and go on and on. It just keeps on going. But everything, though no matter how small you chop it, it's always going in the same direction. Finally, you have to realize that this is where you are walking. You may have been thinking of learning this and learning that. Gradually begin to understand that this is a forest through which I have to walk. Don't give heed to the forest. Just look at the openings. You know, in a way, life is like prison bars. the ego holding you in this prison. But if you look at these bars, they're only the bars of your own stubbornness, your own ignorance. If you look between the bars, you see space. And if you concentrate on that space, gradually the bars disappear, and you find you can go out of your prison, your dungeon. So also with your own spiritual development, don't worry about your obstacles. Don't worry about how far you have to walk. Just keep doing, doing, doing. As Lahiri Mahashaya used to say, Banata Banata Banjai. Just a little bit every day, trying. Finally, you've arrived. So as you try, concentrate on those spaces. Don't concentrate on the bars. Concentrate on the virtues, the supreme blessing and virtue of finding His bliss. Make that your goal. Don't worry about all the things that are stopping you. The more you think that way, the more there will be bars raising themselves right and left and everywhere. Think of that space. Think of that virtue. Think of what you're trying to become, and gradually everything will fall away from you. And you will come to understand that this is my own reality. If you have that absolutely positive thought, it's not that there's certain lottery going on and certain people win and others lose. Everybody would win if they only would have the right attitude. And that right attitude is to believe that you are His child, to know that you are His, to absolutely focus on the positive side and on your chances for winning out in this battle of Kurukshetra, winning the war on the side of your own Pandava qualities, your own virtues. This, the more you do, the more you will find out that it's very easy, actually. You are that already. You don't have to fight for it. Just be that, and you will be that. Joy to you. Joy to you.